Number
exactly.
one, I want you to understand one thing in comedy. One in Rome, number one, look at who you're with, and they've always shown love for you.
Right.
They're not out to throw you out of the game. In fact, it's going to be a different experience for you. You might even say to me, next time I go to LA, I'm going to eat mushrooms because I'm more freer. Whatever the fuck. Whatever makes you free. I don't give a fuck. Look at these people. They do pounds of fucking steroids and they walk up to you. I train every day. Knock it off. Knock it
Right.
off. Why are you embarrassing? You know what I'm saying? With this shit, this is the same thing. I think I couldn't listen. The first 2 weeks of this podcast, or the second week, we did a podcast and we took it for granted and we were a little stiff. I'm stiff when I do these things. I know in my mind I don't want to drink alcohol. Like it just doesn't taste good. So I got to drop an edible or two, but I got to make it hit me. But then I got to eat one when I'm here so it hits me all at one time. And I'm on shock when I'm here. And I got to make my mind work double fast. I enjoy that shit. I enjoy being loose. I'm better when I'm loose. Anybody, when they do comedy, if you go on stage with a beer in your hand and that makes you feel loose, I would never be angry at you, but don't force it. If you're not a drinker, don't force it. Bring up water or whatever. Stay hydrated. You know the fucking commercials. I don't have to tell you here. But, Paul Mooney used to go up there with a bottle of champagne. Cat Williams, but and I know they wouldn't Joey, that was later on, but I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if you bring a teddy bear up there. As long as you feel comfortable. Whatever takes that stiffness away from you, so be it. Again, I'm not adhering to Adderall. I've never even done that shit. I'm not adhering to a shot of blow. I'm not adhering to heroin. But I would be a hypocrite if I fucking sat here and said to you, what listen, I want you to kill. My goal
Right.
is for you to fucking kill. You think I'm mad at Led Zeppelin for being heroin junkies? You think I'm mad at Sabbath for being cocaine junkies? It worked for them. It worked
Right.
for them. And they have trials and tribulations from it. And they went on to do fucking great things. I'm not advocating drugs here. I'm just saying that some people need alcohol. Listen, when I moved to LA, I didn't want to fail. So I wanted to focus. So what did I do? I went on a little coke. I was broke. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not like I gave up cocaine. No, you know, things were bad. I'm making 15 a spot here. And I started smoking cigarettes.
To get the same effect.
It was a euphoric effect. And Josh Wolf started very late. Like I said, there wasn't much money. So it was $2 a piece. We go to 7-Eleven on Curson and we buy a pack of Camel Lights or Marlboro Lights. We always alternated. We'd go to where we had to do comedy at. We When we got home, we'd throw away whatever's left in the box. That's how it started for me. It really started at the tail end of Seattle. I noticed that a lot of comics were smokers. At this time, if you were a smoker and you got in the car with me and lit a cigarette, I'd throw you out of the fucking car. If you told me that you were going to drive me to a gig and I got in your car and there was an ashtray with cigarettes, I'd have to get out. But at 33 years old, something from watching other comics, then I started studying tape, and a lot of them were smoking on stage. And it was the guys I liked. So I tried it, and I fucking enjoyed it. I enjoyed smoking before stage. I never brought a cigarette on stage.
Well, isn't nicotine like good for focus? Like, do you feel like it? Like,
What am I? You
I
know,
don't know.
Dr. fucking Phil? I don't know if nicotine's good for focus. I know for me, it was working. I remember having a conversation with you about coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like coffee. Well, guess what? I was raised in a fucking Cuban house where they make coffee with milk in it and they give you a piece of bread with butter on it. That is the nastiest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. So at a certain age, even though I enjoyed the smell of coffee, I did not drink coffee. Ask me when I started drinking coffee again.
When?
19 2000. I was
Wow.
37 years old. I didn't touch coffee when the time I was fucking 13 till I was 37 years old. Ask me why.
Why?
Comedy. I started enjoying a cup of coffee before a show with the cigarette. I thought that was the most euphoric thing in the world. And if you fucking put a joint in that mix, I'd go to 7-Eleven. You know, I was making headliner starter money, 800 a weekend. I would go to a 7-Eleven and get a cup of that Brazilian Bold or whatever that fucking coffee was, nicotine plus, whatever the fuck they had, premium plus, fill it up with that fucking sugar, that whatever, that cancer sugar. I'd buy a pack of cigarette. I'd have some reefer. That to me was the most euphoric thing I could do before I went on stage. It just rose me up. It didn't get me too hyped up because sometimes you eat a mushroom and it's before you get on stage, you're like, yeah, you know, I'm Jimi Hendrix. And then when you get on stage, the lights, the people, your heart starts beating. Now it becomes something completely fucking different. How
Oh
do you
yeah.
feel there with the mushrooms? You
Well,
tell.
what I was thinking about what you were saying about the weed. Because I was like up until like 6 months ago, maybe a little bit more, I was like very nervous, like almost debilitating before I would go on stage, like at pace. And I think the weed, I don't really smoke much anymore before, but if I would get a little high, I'd be very relaxed. And I think now, like, you don't smoke cigarettes anymore. Like, I think that was a good thing for me to get over my anxiety. I just because I've had bad sets high on stage. Like one of the Sony Hall ones. I took an edible in the car on the way there, and then an edible on stage, and I just fucking
Breeze.
oh
I've
yeah,
been look, I've been there. You saw me one time where I had to ask the waiter for a chicken sandwich before I was going on stage because I
in
ate
San
one of those
Jose.
milligrams, whatever. And guys, I was eating edibles, but the excitement of the show, the excitement that you have, the adrenaline. Once the adrenaline mixes with that THC, that's a weird feeling sometimes. And sometimes you got to adjust yourself. Ooh, you got to like ask questions. Who's in the army? You know what I'm saying? Just to get your head back together. Who's thinking of joining the Marines?